hearts and gratitude to God for a life well spent, we regret to announce the death of the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, as Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission on Wednesday, 31st July 2013, approved the merger of some political parties here in Nigeria, after due consideration that they had met all statutory requirements for such a merger to happen. Now, in his first reaction to that merger, my host today says that merger marked, quote, the beginning of a new dawn for our country and her long-suffering people, end of quote. Well, hello and welcome. This is 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetumobi. Thank you for joining me on the program today. Now, the People's Democratic Party, through its acting National Publicity Secretary, Tony Okeke, dismisses any notion that this changed brand of an existing opposition has any consequences whatsoever for the People's Democratic Party. A party, he insists, will continue to dominate Nigeria's political landscape. Now, this registration was a long time coming. Nigerians waited with bated breath to see if this baby would be born alive. First bone of contention was the name and its acronym APC. In this instance, it stands for All Progressives Congress. But there were other political associations claiming ownership of that acronym, with one particularly, the African People's Congress, heading to court challenging the Commission's refusal to recognize it as a registered party. Again, some of the parties in the merger were engulfed in battles for the souls of their individual parties. But with INEC registering the APC eventually, after receiving a 30-day ultimatum within which to consider that application, is the APC really going to be the PDP's nemesis? And will it really affect the fortunes of the People's Democratic Party? Will it increase its tally of 11 states spread across 5 geopolitical zones? Questions, questions, and more questions. So, join me after the break. I'm counting down 60 minutes with the interim National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, APC. His name, Lai Mohammed. Welcome back and welcome, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you for coming back on 60 Minutes with me.
It's always a pleasure.
Now, let's go back to the period before the registration of the All Progressives Congress. Is it true that INEC really wrote a letter to you, to the promoters, saying to you to find another acronym? Did that happen at any time?
It never happened.
Never happened.
Never happened.
So, from scratch, it was going to be APC and promoters were never going to back down.
No one ever going to back down.
Okay.
You see, it is true that at a point in time, INEC did make certain pronouncements through its director of publicity, Sakawade Idowu, to the effect that they also have another application from the African People's Congress. Using the same acronym, and that might pose a problem for the merger.
Yes.
I remember we had cause also to reply through the media to INEC that the process and procedure for registration of a fresh party are quite different from the process and procedures for a merger, and that there is no provision in the law, either on the Constitution or the Electoral Act, for any merging group to make a name reservation.
Right.
And that the only time the merging group is obliged by law to notify INEC of its name or the intention to merge is after they fulfill certain requirements.
Right.
The various parties must have held their various conventions at which they must have obtained the mandates of their respective parties to merge, and the name they want to choose, the constitution, and the logo. In any event, INEC already had constructive knowledge of the name APC as an acronym belonging to the merging parties, because on the 6th of February, we held a world press conference in which we announced to the world that we are going to merge and we are going to assume this name, All Progressives Congress, APC. And it's also instructive to note that on the same day, INEC, through her spokesperson, also responded to that our World Press Conference when he said, yes, we've learned and we heard that a group is coming and they want to bear the name APC, but they are yet to fulfill the requirements of the law. So at that point in time, we told INEC that INEC ought to have told the African People's Congress that was applying for a fresh registration as APC, that wait a minute, we are aware another group is coming. Fortunately for everybody, the African People's Congress failed to meet certain requirements of the Constitution. I think precisely Section 222 of the Constitution, which provides that any political association seeking for a fresh, for registration as a political party must furnish the Commission with the names and addresses of its promoters or its interim officers. It was on that ground that INEC refused its application.
Okay, so INEC couldn't reserve that name for them because they hadn't completed or they hadn't ticked off all the requirements of the law.
Right. Actually, it's more than that. You see, if they had met that requirement, they would have been registered
straight away.
Because they had met every other requirement, apparently. So if they had met that requirement, they would have been registered. And if they had been registered, now the controversy would have been, why did you register them? Knowing fully well that we were coming also as APC. And that would have been a matter of, opinion. And probably the court would have to decide that. But massively for everybody, they failed to meet this constitutional provision and they were disqualified.
Okay, so your constructive notice is just, I'm seeing a legal loophole there. Is there anything in the law that might preclude the Independent Electoral Commission from utilizing what you've called constructive notice? When you haven't actually given notice in writing to them, does the law not require notice in writing?
The law does require notice in writing. But only after you have met certain requirements. Now, you see, we must also appreciate the fact that this is the first time in the history of this country that we're having a merger of political parties. And the law was being tested for the first time. INEC had no precedent to follow. And we were just following the law strictly. I'm sure that with what has happened and transpired now, INEC is wiser. Everybody is wiser. I'm sure in future, INEC will take note that the moment 2 or 3 parties announce to the world that they want to merge and they've given a name, that they will reserve that name for that party, and they would now disqualify another person applying through that name. We have to learn a lot, or rather learn from one another, both INEC and ourselves in this particular transaction.
Okay, so when you said Nigerians are keenly watching how INEC will handle this merger, whatever it does will determine whether Nigerians can count on it to organize free, fair, and credible elections in 2015, end of quote. A lot of people thought that was subtle blackmail there.
So that's subtle blackmail. You see, we refused to be stampeded.
Did you feel at any point that you were being stampeded?
Yes. A lot of uninformed commentators said, I don't mind them. Rather than inform INEC formally of their intention to merge and giving written notice, they embarked on propaganda. They embarked on press conferences. And we kept telling them that if we had not waited for the various conventions to have taken place, and attached the necessary documents, we would have been disqualified by INEC. Because the notice to INEC,
Yes.
going by Section 84(4) of the Electoral Act of 2010 as amended,
Yes.
is that a joint letter signed by the national chairman,
Yes.
national secretaries, and the national treasurers of the merging parties, accompanied by the resolutions at their various conventions. Such conventions which must have been observed by INEC,
Yes.
plus copies of their constitution, manifesto, logo, and slogan,
Yes.
must be presented to INEC.
Right.
So it was not a matter of just writing INEC
Right.
and say, we want to merge,
Yes.
and our name, the name we have chosen is this.
Yes.
So we had to wait and follow the law. Now, we were reminding INEC that the whole world will be watching, because we believed that we were following the law, and at every step,
Yes.
our legal team advised us. We also sought, external advice, and we knew we were on the right track. So when we started hearing unconfirmed report that INEC might not register APC, or INEC might ask you to go and look for another name,
Yes.
we had to warn INEC that the whole world is watching all of us. If you can fault us on procedure, we don't mind.
Yes.
But don't fault us on emotion. Some people were simply being emotional. Clearly, we were ambushed, because before we arrived at the name All Progressives Congress, APC, nobody ever heard of APC as an acronym. But the moment we announced that we were going to be APC, then 3 other political parties came up with APC. One said they were African People's Congress.
Yes.
Another said they were African Patriotic Citizens. Another was All Progressives without an S Congress.
Yes.
And we began to wonder, what is so peculiar about this APC? Until we found out
Yes.
that one of them was actually being sponsored
Yes.
by a major political party. So that's why we had to issue the statement we issued.
But since the African People's Congress,
Yes.
right, since they're still in court suing INEC, INEC has said we will cross that bridge when we get there, in terms of when the court gives a decision. What happens to the APC if the court decides otherwise, that the African People's Congress should be the beneficiary of that acronym?
Well, you see, we can't preempt what the courts will say. But I think it's reasonable to assume that this is not likely going to affect our name
Yes.
as All Progressives Congress. Because the substantive matter is that the African People's Congress
Yes.
is challenging the refusal of the INEC to register it as a political party, and also asking the court to pronounce that nobody else should be allowed to use the acronym APC.
Yes.
Now, the beauty of it, as of the moment we got our registration,
Yes.
there was no court order,
Right.
there was no restraining order on INEC. So you can't accuse INEC of having flouted any court order. Now, we are also aware that this matter has been adjourned till November.
Yes.
And we are not even party to that suit.
Okay.
Now, I believe that in the worst case scenario, INEC will appeal the decision.
So, but I'm looking at it from the angle that you probably can't go ahead yet to print business cards, for instance.
Oh, we've done that already. Because we've got, on a more serious note,
Yes.
don't forget that as of the moment we got our registration as All Progressives Congress,
Yes.
the certificates of ACN, CPC, and AMPP have been cancelled, and we are now referred to as defunct or former. And I think clearly today we are registered as a political party, APC, and we'll go about conducting our business as APC. As a matter of fact, on Tuesday, on the 6th of August, the inaugural meeting of the interim management committee of the party will hold in Abuja.
And so what does that portend? Because you've gone there now, the withdrawal of certificates of registration from the merging parties. Now, what does that portend for a state like Anambra, where they have elections coming up in November, and their candidates from different parties have been campaigning and, you know, trying to get at some of their attention towards their governorship aspirations. What will happen in that situation? There's an ACN candidate, there's an APGA candidate, there's ANPP candidate, there's a CPC candidate. How will they all subsume their own interests to bring one person there?
No, I think it's very simple. The leadership of the APC,
yes,
would arrange for primaries,
right,
and a candidate will emerge.
right.
Already, we know that the APGA, the ACN candidates in particular have been very busy.
Yeah.
But I think part of the implications of this new registration, of this new merger, is that they are now all under one roof, and they will have to conduct primaries to make sure that we have one candidate.
Yeah.
And fortunately for us too, we've met the requirement of the law that says that
in terms of timelines.
Yes, it's 90 days before. I mean, it has to be, the merger has to take place 90 days before the general election. And we are more than 90 days before the election.
Okay, so you're covered there.
Because I think election is about November 25.
Yes,
or thereabouts.
yes.
So we're more than covered, yes.
Okay. And you also admit that this merger process is novel, but essentially, the APC isn't different from the PDP. There's no ideology you're pushing. What would you say to that?
You know, people have made a lot of noise over the issue of ideology. And I believe there's only one ideology for any political party.
Yes.
The people. Once you make the people the centerpiece
yes.
of your programs and your policy, that is the best ideology. And that's ideology. We're a welfarist party, and the people of Nigeria will be the centerpiece of all our policies and our programs. Provision of infrastructure, wealth creation, making sure that there's adequate internal security, employment for everybody. That to me is the ideology that any party should pursue. Any government that does not take the people as its number one priority is a failure. So when people talk about ideology, there's no rocket science about ideology. I give examples of even countries
yes.
that are not democracies, yet they provide for their people. Take Saudi Arabia, for instance. That is far from being a democracy. Most of the Middle Eastern countries are far from being democracies. But they make people the centerpiece of their programs, and their people, of course, they still want democracy. They yearn for it. But when we keep telling people that the dividend democracy, or the hallmark of democracy, is not just providing roads or providing infrastructure or free education. That should be the hallmark of any good government. And that, I think, is where we are going to be different from PDP. And if you look at what we've been doing in states that belong to, legacy parties of APC, such as, ACN, you can see that people have been the centerpiece of our programs. Either you go to Osun, you go to Lagos, you go to Oyo, you go to Ekiti.
Yes.
It's a record today that it's only in these legacy states of APC that the elderly and the vulnerable people are being paid stipends. Widows, elderly people are paid monthly stipends in Ekiti and Osun. And then you can see the infrastructural, transformation that we brought about in Oyo, in Osun, in Ekiti, in Ogun State. And if you go to Borno State, for instance, despite all the challenges that, Borno State is facing in terms of, security, you'll be amazed at the progress and the advance the government has made in the areas of education and agriculture. So clearly, our ideology is very simple. It's the people of Nigeria.
All right. Join us again after the break.
Who knows Abi better thing? Abi who no like better thing? All these fine things wey dey see so. Na money government dey take do am now. Abi, as in, it's like, I mean, Excuse me, I dey pay my tax. I dey do wetin? I dey pay my tax. Say you don't pay your own tax. Have you pay your tax?
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetumobi, and on my hot seat today, Lai Mohammed, National Publicity Secretary of the newly registered All Progressives Congress, APC. Now, APGA is complaining that its name is being put into this merger. Its chairman, Victor Ume, says he's going to court, misleading the people, his people, deceiving them by including APGA's name as one of the parties in the merger.
We're not interested in the faction in APGA. We stayed clear of the controversy in APGA.
Right.
That is why when we were merging, we never requested of APGA to go to a convention and pass a resolution and become part of our APC, because we were aware of the instability in that party.
Yes.
However, the governor of Imo State, Owele Rochas Okorocha, has never hidden his membership of the APC. And when we checked last, he was still the governor of Imo State, and he was still elected on the platform of APGA. So if we include APGA in which I think Governor Fashola included in the message of congratulations he sent, we are talking about that faction of APGA that we call APGA, not APGA PDP.
So everyone's talking about the three main parties: Action Congress of Nigeria, the ANPP, the CPC. How many political parties eventually merged into the APC?
5.
Right.
See, we had of course the ACN.
Right.
We had the ANPP. Right. We had the CPC. And we had a faction of APGA. Right. And also a faction of the DPP.
Why faction of DPP?
When they at their own executive meeting passed a resolution that they should join, the merger. I think there was some division within the party. We decided to play safe, and we asked those among them that wanted to be party to the merger to come. We became, unfortunately, the only serving senator in DPP, who was one of the most prominent people in the merger. He died a couple of weeks ago. That's Senator Parasebolido. But then we still have that faction of his own DPP as part of the merger. And DPP is most active in Delta State. That's why they produced a senator, several members in the House, and the federal legislature. So we still believe that we have the core DPP within the party, within the APC today.
Another bone of contention is the strong personalities you are mentioning now that are in the APC. How will they all subsume their egos to come together and work in harmony?
I think these strong personalities, I'm sure you have in mind people like General Buhari, people like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, their governors and the like. Interestingly enough, there have been more of assets than liabilities to this merger. When we were merging, each of the merging parties set up members of merging committees, and we met in the big merger committee. But a lot of work got done by these leaders. As a matter of fact, these leaders have made such huge sacrifices. We would have been where we are today, but for the sacrifices those leaders have made.
Okay, and let's look at the negative reactions now to the merger. The APC is like a storm in a teacup, nothing special there to give PDP any cause for concern. Strange bedfellows that will be the death of the party. And there must be sacrifices on all sides. We must be ready to bury personal ambitions. So, two sides. Some people are saying nothing will change, it can't rock the PDP. And some people are saying unless there's sacrifices on all sides, no progress can be made. And there's a danger in thinking that just because a party is big, it can rival the PDP in terms of size. That party says they're the largest in West Africa. Is that enough to wrest power from the PDP?
Now, I'll start first with those that say, oh, APC is not a threat.
Yes.
APC, as Schoenberg follows. Well, you see, there's a saying.
Yes.
That wherever you see a sign, a notice that says no thoroughfare, it means there's a road there. Now, if they're not threatened, if we are no threat to them, why are they bothered? Let's meet on the field, and let's whether we're a threat or not. I think the PDP is very worried with the emergence of the APC.
Why do you think they're worried?
They're worried because while their own party is imploding, we are coming together and getting stronger and stronger. I mean, it's simple mathematics. If one is being divided and 3, 4, 5 are coming together as one, of course, it's cause for that one that is getting depleted every day to be worried.
Yes.
As of today, the PDP has one governor suspended, one state under siege, 5 governors in limbo, the National Working Committee non-existent, court orders stopping their convention, the chairman at loggerheads with their governors, and there's just total confusion in PDP.
Yes, but you see, all these things you've counted that looks like confusion, the PDP says it is enticement from opposition parties, such as the APC, that is destabilizing its governors and its members who ordinarily are very loyal.
Then they said that those governors and members are fickle-minded, or we must be offering something very powerful. It's ridiculous. The problem with PDP started long before we even had the first meeting of the merger committee in February. And the sacking of Oyinlola predates the commencement of the merger meeting. So for them to try and put the blame of the disintegration of and the implosion of PDP on APC, I think it's rather ingenious. But I can tell you that the political landscape of Nigeria has been changed irrevocably with the registration of APC on Wednesday.
Some people say that, in fact, it is because the PDP doesn't see the APC as a threat that the merger was allowed to be registered. If they did see it as a threat, you know how we play politics here.
You see, I think the PDP insults our intelligence a lot. Like they allow it. Are they saying that the laws count for nothing? The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria counts for nothing? We said, and INEC said so too, we've met all requirements. And believe me, we should thank INEC
Yes.
for saving the country from an imminent political upheaval. Because if APC had not been registered, by today the politics would have been so overheated that what happened in June 12 would have been a child's play.
Why would there have been that kind of reaction? After all of you still had your individual political parties.
It was not even us. You see, if you look at the reaction of the Nigerian people to the registration of APC, you will be amazed at how many people have been following this merger process. I think what has happened is that Nigerians have been yearning for change.
An alternative.
They want a new platform. Before now, many people that have been tired of PDP, they have had no choice. ACN has been demonized as if it belongs to one person.
Yes.
CPC has been demonized as if it's a religious party. AMPP has been demonized as a regional party. So people didn't have a viable alternative. Today, with the birth of APC, there is a viable alternative.
And if you say it's a viable alternative because it has a national outlook,
Absolutely.
it is an openly Islamic party. All the officials so far, including yourself, are Muslims. So even if we're not zoning by ethnicity, we're zoning by religion.
APC is not an Islamic party. There are 35 members in the interim committee of the APC.
Right.
17 are Christians, 18 are Muslim. They are drawn, the 35 are drawn from 29 states of the Federation.
Okay.
So it's not possible for you to accuse APC of either being a northern party or a southern party, or being a Muslim party, or being a Christian party. We are a pan-Nigerian political party. And it's sad that today we resort to ethnicity and religion when we have no answer to our incompetence. Poverty has no religion. It has no ethnicity.
Yes.
Nigerians today who are suffering are both Muslims and Christians. Nigerians who are unemployed today are both Muslim and Christians, from the north and from the south. It's baseless, it's completely untrue, as the facts will show. You see, we are not afraid to own up to our religion. Nigeria is a multi-value society, and we must respect each people's differences. I'll tell you what happened when we were forming the interim committee. It's a matter of fact that certain political parties are more prominent in certain geopolitical zones than the other. It's also a fact that certain people inhabit certain geopolitical zones, and they're either predominantly Muslim or predominantly Christian. For instance, in the South-South and the Southeast, it might take a long time to have a Muslim governor. But that's democracy. Ditto in the Northwest and probably the Northeast. It can be difficult also to have a Christian governor. But those are the realities of life. When we are doing nominations for interim management committee, we found out that APGA was to give us 6 nominees. They were all Christians.
No Muslim.
No Muslim, no. DPP was supposed to give us 2 nominees, because they were basically operating in Delta. There was no Muslim. But ditto for MPP. They were only able to give us 2 Christians as against 7 Muslims. The most balanced of them was the defunct ACN. That of the 9 nominees, 5 were Christian, 4 were Muslim. So, but at the end of the day, you can see that this is the most balanced political party. Come and fault us on policies, force us on fact, not on emotion.
And how many PDP governors is the APC hoping to attract? We've heard all kinds of numbers, 12 or 14, calculating from the last election in the Governors Forum. If 16 governors voted for Jang, 2 of them were not PDP, which means that 14 voted for Jang, and there are 23 governors. So there are 9 PDP governors who didn't vote for Governor Jang. Are those the 9 that the APC is targeting?
You see, time will tell. What I can assure you today is that many governors of PDP are very uncomfortable with their platform.
Why?
Well, like I still told you, 1 is under suspension. Another one was just recalled from suspension. 5 are in limbo.
But is it a crime? I mean, even the ACN, the former ACN, demanded absolute loyalty from its members. And if the PDP is demanding absolute loyalty from its members, shouldn't that be applauded?
I think there's a difference between demanding loyalty and asking people to go against their conscience. Take the issue of the Governors Forum election. Governor Amici, as the chairman of the Governors Forum,
yes,
in that position had to defend the interests of the governors against the federal government.
His party's instruction was clear. Don't go for this re-election. Don't go for a second term. Wouldn't that be considered anti-party activities in the former ACN, for instance, if you went against the party's instruction?
No. You see, if we ask you not to contest in a primary, for instance,
Yes.
and you do, you are free to do so. We simply withdraw our support from you, and you lose the election. Unfortunately, the PDP and the presidency overrated their influence within their own governors. What happened in the governors' forum election was more of a referendum on the popularity of the president and the presidency and the PDP.
Well, some people will disagree. They will say it was more of ambition and egos. Some people who are harboring latent ambitions can't come out to the fore to declare those ambitions because of the type of politics we play.
Yeah, but what is wrong with having ambition? I don't say anything wrong in having ambition. All of them there today. So if you are not ambitious, they will not be there. Now look, let's face facts. One, the PDP felt quite uncomfortable with the role Amici was playing as the chairman of the Governors Forum, especially over this sovereign, wealth fund. And then the issue of the disputed oil wells between Bayelsa State and Rivers State government did not endear him to Mr. President. There was also the issue of the intra-party squabble that pitched the governors against the chairman of the party. PDP didn't want him to continue as the chairman of the Governors Forum. It was not PDP that elected him as the chairman of the Governors Forum.
Yes, but PDP had 23 out of 36 governors.
Then you ask yourself,
yes,
what happened to those 23 governors? If PDP had 23 governors out of 36,
yes,
and these 23 endorsed Jang, then what happened? Only 10 APC members were present at that Governors Forum's election.
yes.
How come Amici had 19? Which means 9 PDP governors, including Amici, voted for Amici.
What about the fact that Governor Amici printed ballot papers? Isn't that a factor to consider?
If Governor Amici printed ballot papers, which was not true, because it was the Secretariat of the Governors Forum that printed ballot papers. Now, we're not talking about schoolboys. We're talking about governors of states.
Yes.
At that point in time, what prevented them from saying, we can't accept this and walk out? We watched this thing on video. We knew who were the returning officers for each of the parties.
But, some of the governors on the other side, one of them said to me, if Nigerians watched video of the whole 4 hours of proceedings on that day, rather than the clips that we saw, they would change their minds about what they think.
What the Nigerians are waiting for is that 4 hours clip. But in the absence of that 4 hours clip,
yes,
we'll only work on the one we have. At no meeting of Jang has he been able to have more than 16 governors.
it's still the same 16 who voted
16.
for him.
So even if the video was, was doctored,
Yes.
what about the physical meetings?
All right, we'll take another break now. When we come back, we'll talk about the alleged deportation of people from the southeast by the Lagos state government. So join us again after the break. Welcome back. My concluding moments now with the National Publicity Secretary of the newly formed All Progressives Congress, APC. Now, the recent alleged deportation, for want of a better word to use, of people from the southeast of Igbo extraction from Lagos State. What is the APC doing about it? After all, Governor Fashola belongs to the APC now.
Frankly speaking, I'm very disappointed with the conduct and utterances of Governor Obi of Anambra State. There is nothing like illegal deportation or deportation of people of Southeast origin.
Yes,
or
but
anywhere.
The Constitution allows every Nigerian to reside anywhere.
Absolutely. The Constitution of Nigeria gives you freedom of movement, but you can't come to my house without me inviting you. Now, what are the facts of the matter?
Yes.
Every so often, the Ministry of Youth and Social Welfare pick up destitutes on the streets. They take them to Obutu, which is the rehabilitation center, feed them, give them medications, and when they come round, they ask them, look, what do you want to do now? Many of them will say, we want to go back to our state. Who are your contact persons? Those that are able to do their contact person, they contact them. Those who are not able to give their contact person, they would contact the state. In this particular case, a letter was written to Anambra State that, look, we have 14 destitutes who we have rehabilitated. They say they want to come back home. Please arrange for their repatriation home. The Anambra State government replied the letter asking for the details of the people, which was sent to them. Months after, Lagos State government did not hear anything again from Anambra State. And they cannot continue to keep these people in the camp. Neither can they continue to allow them to sleep under the bridge.
Okay, because I was going to ask you, who is a destitute? Some of them have alleged that they are legitimately, they may not have homes, but some maybe they sell on the streets, they sell in traffic, and they're picked up by some of these agencies in Lagos.
You see, this is a very convenient, excuse, and this argument is neither here nor there. But you see, this thing did not start today.
Right.
And I want to tell you something very interesting. Recently, the Akwa Ibom State embarked on a similar exercise.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. And wrote Lagos State and said, we have 2 lunatics here in Akwa Ibom. We have rehabilitated them. They say they are from Lagos State. Arrange for their removal. And Lagos State did arrange for their removal.
From Akwa Ibom?
From Akwa Ibom. Another very interesting one. I won't name the state. Lagos State wrote to the state and said, look, we have X number of destitutes. They claim they are from your state. Please come and collect them. And they wrote back and said, when they were coming to Lagos, they were sane and hearty. Whatever happened to them in Lagos is your problem. The strongest challenge to ABGA will come from APC. So he must demonize APC and incite the Igbos against APC. Ask Governor Obi, was he not written a letter? Was his government contacted? Didn't they reply asking for the list? Did they do anything after that? And confirm from Akwa Ibom. Did Akwa Ibom ask Lagos to come and collect his own? Did Lagos State do so? So what are we talking about?
Did Lagos State give them any money, in terms of a stipend? Because we saw news reports of the chairman of the local government where the people were deposited across the Niger Bridge, saying they had to give them money. And some people say, Lagos State could have given them, even if it's 2,000.
You see, I've told you that there's a modus operandi.
Yes.
Lagos State will pick up destitutes from the streets, keep them in the rehabilitation center for as long as it takes them to be rehabilitated, then contact their state government, all their relations, to come and pick them up.
Why does Lagos State have to kick people out? Who is considered a destitute?
Yes, you see, Lagos is not just kick people out. And I don't think they've picked me or you on the streets and then say take not to rehabilitation center. But for anybody to say there are no districts in Lagos, I think that would be very unfair.
Yes.
The districts in Lagos, we have a specialized ministry that is saddled with the responsibility of dealing with certain districts, and they know exactly who are this, who are not. Now, can we allow people to sleep under the bridge every day? And again, there's very little margin between destitutes and criminals. And I think every government has responsibility to maintain law and order. We know it's about 2014, pure and simple.
That's the 2014 election.
Governorship election in Anambra.
In fairness to the APC, people are recognizing its strength lies in the northwest and in the southwest of Nigeria. What is the party doing about making inroads into the other 4 zones?
Yes, we're very strong in northwest, we're very strong in the southwest, we are very strong in the northeast. We have 3 governors from the northeast. Borno State governors from the northeast, Yobe State governors from the northeast. We have 2 governors from the northeast. And we are very strong also in the north central. But you see, don't judge the strength of a party solely on the grounds of how many governors they've produced,
Yes.
or how many legislators they've produced.
Yes.
You can only judge the strength of the local party on how it's accepted by the people of that state. And today, I can say without any fear of equivocation that we are the preferred party in 4 zones of the Federation: Southwest,
Right.
the Northwest, the Northeast, and the North Central. And we have very firm footholds in South-South. Southeast,
Yes.
not only do we have the governor of Imo, who's a member
Yes.
of ABGA, we also have a senator who is a member of APC, Senator Chris Ngige. We have several members in the House of Reps who are APC, and we have members in the House of Assembly in Anambra who are APC. We have in Imo who are in APC. So we are not really that thin on the ground.
Yes.
And let me tell you, in the history of Nigeria, nobody has ever lost the presidential election if he wins in the Southwest and the Northwest. So we're very comfortable.
So those are the key zones.
They're the most populated zones, and we have them in our pocket.
The most populated zones,
Yes.
in terms of numbers. And so how long will the interim board be in office?
We intend to conduct congresses at ward, local government, and state to elect to elect party officers
Right.
at those levels, and then national convention to have permanent executive. We intend to achieve this in the next 3 months by the grace of God.
Okay, so there's a membership drive now starting off.
It's starting off.
All right.
Yes.
So I'll give you time to settle down, the APC, and I'll be back to have another chat with you.
Angela, it will always be a pleasure to see you.
Thank you very much,
very
sir.
much. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week. Don't forget to keep a date with me. Same time, same day, same station. Of course, you can like 60 Minutes with Angela on Facebook. Alternatively, you can follow me on Twitter, Angela at 60 Minutes. I'm Angela Ajitumobi. I thank you for the pleasure of your company.